Hello all, welcome back to 100 Days of Magic, just in case you forgot. I am Donna Woodwell, your host of this epic adventure here at the crossroads of magic and mastery, where we are talking about all the tips and tricks that you can use to unlock the magic that is already within you. So here I am again. We're talking about spells for focus today. Spells for focus, as we talked about yesterday, involve getting in touch with the part of you that concentrates your mental activity to hold a certain thing in your mind for an extended period of time. That is the dictionary definition of what focus is. But there are implications for focus. Focus requires energy to hold that space, to hold that contraction space. And so it is a limited commodity. You cannot, okay, you could do all kinds of things. But I would highly not recommend that you cast a spell for focus and try to hold it 24/7. At best, you could perhaps cast a spell for mindfulness 24/7, which is kind of like a focus light in the sense that you are being aware of what you are doing. But focus on a deeper level really is the contemplation of a singular object or a singular task at hand with all of your attention. And that is not something we are meant to do all the time. We are meant to use it as a tool for when it is needed. So, as we put together our spell for focus, when we were talking about discernment is something that you can have, more like mindfulness, all the time. Focus is something that you want when you need it. So, like if you're writing a book, you want to focus for 2 hours on getting the next chapter done. Or let's say you are putting in a garden. You want to focus on digging the trenches that you need to drench, or putting in the baskets or the beds in ways that promote your garden, and not get distracted by, oh, there's a bird, and you go off to do something else. You have to hold the object of your intention for a certain period of time. Given that that is the role of focus, as we develop a spell for focus, I assume that we're going to keep those kinds of things in mind as we go forward. So, as we dive into that, first I want to say hi to, hey Jackie, hey Mary, hey Karen, hey Boris, hey everyone who is here listening to me live. You can always feel free to chime in the comment section, or if you are watching this after the live broadcast, again, come and continue the conversation afterwards. We've been having some pretty awesome conversations after these videos have gone up with the members who are participating in the video, and for that I'm very, very grateful, because the more of us who bring our attention to a topic, the more we all learn together, and the more we hold space for all those who are learning who may not be talking about as much as we are. So we're adding the seeds for new possibilities out into the world. Okay, back to our spell for focus. So if focus is something that we want for limited spans of time while we are undertaking certain activities, we should probably design our spell to have a limited duration and a limited context, so that when we need to unfocus and relax, we can also do that. Since for many of us, focus is going to involve something on a computer. So learning, studying a book, something in a contained space, whatever it happens to be. I'm going to focus the spells on that, but you can always adapt spells to whatever context you need to work within. So keep that in mind. We can always talk about it after the fact. But let's say you promised your book editor that you would have the first 3 chapters done by Friday, and you need to be at your computer for 2 hours a day in order to get that done. And you've been hemming and hawing and claiming you have writer's block and feeling uninspired, and yet it has to get done anyway. So you feel this urgency, I need to get focused so I can actually get this thing done. Well, what can you do? Well, the good news is we have lots of technological devices to help with this kind of thing. But we also have magical devices as well, and they can often work together to get the job done. So let's say you're sitting at a computer. That means you know where you're going to be. You can turn your computer space into the altar, in a sense, of your area of focus. So to do that, you could, I love candle magic for this. So you could, since we're talking about Saturn, get little black candles, and you could light this candle. And the deal is you need to stay and work until the candle is burned down. One of these candles take about 2 hours, so this is a 2-hour focus tool right here. You can sure you can like rev it up and put extra layers of Saturn on top. You could carve little images of Saturn. You could write the name of the project that you're trying to do on it. You could anoint it with Saturn herbs. We talked about belladonna and nightshade and all the other ones that are poisonous, but also poppy seeds and things that are black, all sacred to Saturn. You could anoint it with those things. That's one way you could do it. You could also get a bigger candle. I recommend, for things like this, you can get one of these pillar candles. They last about 7 days total. So 7 times 24 is, 150 some odd hours. You can also get these tall pillar candles that don't have glass on them. They're kind of comparable. I don't have any black ones right now. They all got used up. So just imagine this is black. And what you would do, you could turn this into an altar for Saturn. These candles you can usually paint on them. I tried it with nail polish. It wasn't working really well. But you can often get some acrylic paint and draw arcane symbols on the outside to hold your intention. So instead of having a candle that you light and burns down while you're working, you could have a candle that you just light when you are going to work. So as long as the candle is lit, you're working. Having done many of these kinds of tricks for myself, this works often. This is great in theory, especially when you're already in the zone. And you can remind yourself to light it when you sit down to work and blow it out when you go away. But the thing about projects that we don't really want to work on, sometimes it's the hardest part is the getting over the hump to get started. Because once we get started, we're pretty much okay and just in our groove going. Humans have a lot of inertia involved in the way we think. We are more willing to just keep trotting forward than to put in the extra energy and oomph to change our state to begin with. So if this is your case and you can't get moving, never underestimate the power of bindings when you are doing magic, especially for things like focus, when you're trying to break your unfocused habit and bring in a new focused habit. These are like guardrails that get us moving in the direction that we want to go in. Just like when you are, if you're training horses, for anybody who's familiar with horses, if you need them to go in a certain direction, you put blinders on them. So they can't see anything else other than what's in front of them. And this does the same thing for us in a way. So let's say you have that book, that chapter that you have to write. So you sit down at your chair and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need coffee. Oh, I need this. Oh, I forgot to do that. Maybe I should put my laundry in. And you're off to the races and finding all the ways you could possibly find to slip out of what you say you should be doing. Granted, getting coffee at the beginning of all these things is kind of its own, or tea, it's kind of its own Saturn ritual, which you can turn it into. It's black after all. And so it can be a great get focused tool that lots of people use when they start their day. But take said binding. This one's really short. So all you can do with something that's short is take your leg and literally tie it to the chair that you're sitting in. Don't laugh. This works. So you take this. So imagine I'm tying it to my chair. All right. Now your leg is tied to the chair. So try to get into what you're doing. Light your candle. And the moment that our brain gets unconscious and we forget what we are doing. Just like if you've ever gotten up and walked in the other room and you're like, why am I here? It doesn't take long for us to get into the unconscious space of not being aware of what we're doing anymore. The rope helps guide you to remind you if you are trying something you shouldn't be doing, that may, hey, wait, what are you doing? So it prevents you from doing unconscious things. In this case, getting out of your chair. Because what will happen if you stand up with your leg attached to the chair, I dare you, try it. Basically, the chair will fall over, often on your other leg, and you will not soon forget that experience. And you might think I'm being facetious, but I'm absolutely not. This is how I got through writing my graduate thesis. I got a bigger rope than this one, and I literally tied myself to the chair. And I hemmed and hawed and I growled a lot until I got started. Once I got started, I was just fine. So for focus spells, you can take one of these as part of the ritual, and you can, let's say we're going to pretend this was black. This is our black focus spell. We are going to dedicate this candle to Saturn, and we're going to dedicate this rope to Saturn in helping us remain focused. All right? To do that is not hard. We just do what we always do whenever we need to charge an object and devote it to and align it with a certain god or goddess. In the case of the planets, it's super easy because they have a built-in clock. Unlike, Hecate or Pan or Bridget or whoever else you might be working with. Planets, by definition, are time-based things. So we could either pick a time when Saturn was on the horizon line or directly overhead, or we could use planetary hour systems. It's what they used to do in lieu of having access to astrological data, astronomical data. A Saturn day, Saturday, a Saturn hour every day will have at least 3 Saturn hours in it someplace. Or you can do a Saturn day on a Saturn hour. And assume the meditative position. That's what we do when we do magic. Magic works better when you are relaxed and calm and in a slightly altered state of awareness. Because as you relax, your brain waves go a little bit slower. When they're going a little bit slower, you are in a more creative space, and the doors of perception, so to speak, or really just the barriers between your conscious and your subconscious mind open up a little bit. And magic, the connection to spirit that we experience, comes through our subconscious. So if you want to feel the magic, you have to be in a slightly altered and relaxed state to be able to access that part of yourself, which means learning how to take it down a few notches. Take it down a few notches and be present to that numinous space of possibility within you. So once you get in that zone, at the appropriate time in the appropriate place, you invite your guides to come and help you out, because magical power comes from working with a team. We bring team Saturn to this equation. So in this case, we'll be working with Saturn, also working with the spirit of fire, the spirit of this candle, the spirit of whatever this rope happens to be made of, probably silk, the spirit of silk, the spirit of black. Colors have spirits too. Invite them all to come and help you, because the more you bring on board, the more aligned you are with the magical symbolic language. So once you feel all these spirits are present, you may light this candle and ask that it be aligned with all the spirits that you're working with, so that every time that you light it, it is drawing in the energy of those planets who are helping you with this process of focus. You can reinforce this by, in the middle of your ritual, you can paint designs on your candle or carve them into the candle. You could drop a little bit of essential oil for the planet that you're involved in. Magic comes in layers, so the more you layer the symbolism, the more you are turning it up, because you are reinforcing the message. And then you probably want to take the rope that you're using, you're using a rope in this case, and hold it over the candle. Don't set it on fire. I've done all these things at least once, so don't set it on fire. Hold it over the candle and ask its smoke to bless the rope that you're working with. At this point, you may even want to, if you want to have a place to store this, the perfect place to store it is probably around the candle if you're going to be using it on a regular basis. Say thank you all, and you will enjoy working together as you continue exercising focus in your world. So then just take your candle and put it wherever you're going to be doing your focus work. That's it. So thank all the spirits for coming and helping you. And then when you come time for you to work, you're going to light that candle and you are going to take your rope and you're going to tie your foot to the chair until you get started. And eventually you may not need to actually tie your foot to a chair anymore. You just may want to light the candle because you're already doing it. The focus has already gotten going. And this is how we begin to use our magical rituals to reinforce what we know we want to do. All right, so tomorrow when we come back, we're going to talk about after the focus spell. Because focus, like so many other things, we will keep coming up with a yes, but. Well, yes, but what if I don't even get to my office chair? I found too many other things to do. Or, yes, but, fill in the blank. We can come up with excuses all day long. And those are all true. At some point in time, you have to recognize you just have to do it. And I'm going to talk to you about other things that you can do to hack your focus. Things like making sure that you've got, proper exercise and proper nutrition can help you with all kinds of things. Things like how you gain accountability for doing what you're doing. Accountability is often a Saturn thing too. If you want to create a new habit, you can always get a buddy to create your habit with to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So we're going to continue this tomorrow with the after the focus spell and find out how you can deal with some of those objections internally, because not focusing is often your body's way or your mind's way of saying, I don't have the energy reserves for this. I'm not ready for this. What if I fail? What if blah, blah, blah. All the stuff that we throw out there in the world. Still, as Yoda says, we do or do not. There is no try. And in the case of focus, this is absolutely true. Okay? All right, let us continue this conversation tomorrow. It was my pleasure to be with all of you, and I look forward to continuing this tomorrow. Until then, I hope you all have a magical day. Take care, everyone.